What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Guys, I know I disappointed you a few days back when you noticed that I don't have freckles, but now you can probably see I have a lot of beauty marks. I think when God made me, he was like, "Should we put freckles on her? Nah, let's just put random dots all over her face." And that's how I came to be. So yeah, I said that I have 3 dots in line. I don't know if you can even see them from here, but I have the 3 dots here perfectly in line. I have one here, and I just have dots all over my face, guys. This is not one of them. That's a pimple. Anyways, today we're watching. This is the Maniac that Scarface was based on. So he was based on someone, apparently. I haven't seen this movie, and I know everybody's gonna be like, "What? You haven't seen Tony Montana?" I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. I've never seen the movie, and if we make a movie reaction channel, I think this is like a must watch, right? Because it's like a classic movie. I mean, probably everybody knows it, minus me, because I live absolutely under a rock. But I guess the good thing is that we get to experience all of this again, and me for the first time. But either way, let's see what he was based on before we even watch the movie. How about that?
Is the iconic Cuban gangster from Brian De Palma's 1983 crime thriller masterpiece, Scarface. And Al Pacino's portrayal of Montana, despite Pacino being very not Cuban, has endured as one of the most famous and brutal depictions of organized crime ever portrayed on the screen. So, today, we're getting high on our own supply as we tell you about the real-life inspiration for Scarface. But before we give you the world and everything in it, why don't you give us a subscribe? Then shoot your way down to the comments and let us know what other based on a true story stories you want to hear about. For now, say hello to a little history.
Oh, is he the one that says, "Say hello to my little friend"? What? That's cool.
Everyone remembers where they were at the beginning of 2020, at home watching Tiger King on Netflix. The wild but true tales of Joe Exotic, Carol Baskin, and Doc Antle found a surge of popularity when their docuseries dropped on streaming. But it was a less prominent player in the series who may have inspired the character of Tony Montana. Mario Tebrow, who appeared on the Netflix series, runs a nonprofit organization called the Zoological Wildlife Foundation. But he was also a former drug trafficker who many say was the real-life inspiration for Tony Montana. Friends of Tebrow even believe that screenwriter
What a change.
Oliver Stone consulted him about the film's script. Much like Tony Montana and his less-than-reputable associates, Tebrow frequented Miami's nightlife and was a major player in the underground crime scene, transporting drugs worth upwards of $75 million. In 1987, federal agents launched Operation Cobra, a name that sounds like something out of G.I. Joe. In reality, it was an effort to take down Tebrow, who was at the time covering up his vast drug dealings with the front of an exotic animal import company called Pets Unlimited. Larry Nash was an undercover agent for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco.
We do not support crime, but I am a big fan of what he's doing now. That would be my dream. I mean, that's pretty cool.
And firearms. Larry Nash was an undercover agent for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, aka the ATF. Nash met a gory demise in 1980 at the hands of Tebrow and his associates. Tebrow would refute his involvement in the killing in the 2020 docuseries Tiger King. But after Nash's body was found, burned, and dismembered, information on his death began to trickle out. Many witnesses testified that they watched Tebrow do the deed himself with a machete. Others say his body was cut up using a circular saw and burned in a trough. Whatever the real cause of death, the movie latched on to the legend, and the infamous Scarface bathroom chainsaw scene was concocted. Throughout the film, Tony Montana, Frank Lopez, played by Robert Loggia, and Manny Ray, played by Stephen Bauer, do their business and misdeeds in various nightclubs throughout Miami. And what may seem like a classic case of Hollywood embellishing the facts for plot is actually not too far off from the Magic City in the 1980s.
I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't seen this movie before. Now I really, really want to watch it.
In his book Hotel Scarface, author Robert Farzad described the Florida city as a veritable drug boomtown, while the rest of the country was busy dealing with oil shocks and skyrocketing insurance rates. Miami's economy was flourishing, thanks to a little help from a lot of white powder. During that time, cocaine could be bought for $1,000 a kilo in Colombia, then turned around and sold for $50,000 a kilo in Coconut Grove, Miami. The city was drowning in cash, as well as crime, and law and order essentially ceased to exist. So much so that a federal judge declared that Miami was on the ragged edge of anarchy. Sounds like a pretty good movie idea. In Scarface, Tony and his nefarious associates could usually be found kicking back in the
A lot of these types of movies happen in Miami. No? Like, or is it maybe it's just, I don't know. But when I think of like the movies that I've seen, usually they always happen, like these types of things always happen in Miami. Maybe New York and places like that. Las Vegas.
Scarface.
But I guess because they're also like the biggest cities, no?
In Scarface, Tony and his nefarious associates could usually be found kicking back in the neon-tinged, always smoky Babylon Club. Turns out, the club was yet another character in the film based on real events, this time taking on the likeness of notorious real-life Miami drug lord hangout, the Mutiny Hotel. The hotel/club/criminal hotspot boasted 130 rooms and was a free trade zone for gangsters looking to cash in on Miami's debauchery, or maybe even escape from it for a bit. The Mutiny was an exclusive members-only club that could count CIA affiliates, Jackie Onassis, and members of Led Zeppelin among its guest list in the 1970s.
Led Zeppelin was there, guys.
Maybe they were there to hang out and grab a drink, or maybe they were there to rub elbows with drug lords and cocaine cowboys. Drug lords often lead opulent lifestyles, and the Mutiny reportedly sold more bottles of Dom Perignon than any other establishment on the planet. This was reported by DP's distributors, who visited the site in the early 80s to be sure the numbers coming out of the Mutiny were real. The Miami Hotel also had a champagne cave, which featured a secret compartment where drug lords could hide weapons they might need if their legitimate business dealings ever went sideways. Allegedly, a hostess would even hide your piece up her skirt if the uncompromised cops should ever start sniffing around. Sniffing being quite the operative word when it comes to the product these businessmen were dealing.
So the whole hotel was basically in on it? That's crazy. Imagine going to work at a hotel as a waitress and then, your boss is just like, oh, by the way, this is our clientele. If they ask you to put their con up your shirt or up your skirt, you do it. Okay. Oh, I hope they get paid well or got paid well.
Oliver Stone wanted his crime thriller to be as close to real life as possible, so much so that he ended up going method during the screenwriting process, so to speak. Stone researched his script by spending time in Miami and the Caribbean, having conversations and taking notes from both sides of the law. Stone said the experience gave him a lot to work with for his planned film, or as he described it, a sun-drenched tropical third world gangster, cigar, sexy Miami movie. That's a lot to fit on a poster. The experience wasn't all productive, however, as Stone was dealing with his own dependency and addiction issues at the time, which the research only kicked into a higher gear. To maintain his focus and get away from the riffraff, Stone moved to Paris, where he could write the story in peace, far away from easy access to the drugs that fueled Tony Montana's world. The 1983 Scarface was not Hollywood's first foray into the story, with a 1932 version directed by Howard Hughes, telling the story of an Italian kingpin loosely based on Al Capone. This version stars Paul Muni as Tony Camonte, also known as Scarface. Released before the Hays Production Code caused studios and filmmakers to censor and avoid certain content, the violence and subject matter of the film surprised a lot of moviegoers in the 1930s. When Stone took up the Scarface
Whew, imagine someone from the 1930s watching like any movie from nowadays.
mantle, he opted to base his Tony Montana on the real-life Mario boat lift, in which hundreds of thousands of Cuban refugees traveled to Miami by boat. Scarface uses actual footage from the boat lift, and Oliver Stone used the prevailing American government attitude that the Marielitos were the quote, crazies to motivate his outlandish operatic character. While many in the Cuban immigrant camp admired Tony's climb to the top, the portrayal is a divisive one in the community, as the film perpetuates several harmful stereotypes against Cuban Americans. Also, again, Al Pacino is simply not Cuban, making that accent really something.
Did he do a Cuban accent?
In Scarface, Robert Loggia plays Kingpin Frank Lopez, one of the big baddies in the film. Lopez is based on real-life Cuban immigrant and prominent Miami drug figure Carlos Carlin Quesada. Getting his start in cocaine
Quesada, like Quesada. That's a cool surname. It kind of sounds like quesadilla, and also that made me realize that I'm really hungry right now.
trafficking around 1969. Quesada claims to have raked in over $3 million from his criminal enterprise, equal to about $10 million in today dollars. But Quesada also reached across the aisle, acting as a police informant and snitching on his competitors while shielding his own business from the law in the process. Because of this, he was able to flaunt his crimes in front of police who had no power to stop him. Quesada was busted trying to bring his operation to Los Angeles, with presiding judge Pamela Ann Reimer opining that this community does not need the exporting of Miami vice. Quesada was sentenced to 25 years in prison and fined $250,000, but none of that stung more than Judge Reimer's sick burn. Frank Lopez's right-hand man was
It's kind of crazy to think that there are people that like lived these types of lives. Like El Capo, and like what a crazy life to live.
Frank Lopez's right-hand man was a Weasley character named Omar Suarez, played by the incomparable F. Murray Abraham. The criminal-turned double agent character pales in comparison to the real-life inspiration, Ricardo Monkey Morales, which sounds like the name of a wisecracking sidekick on a Saturday morning cartoon, was in reality a brutal, murderous Cuban-American immigrant involved in spying, counter-spying, bombings, and dope dealings during his time as a criminal and informant, and that's according to his obituary. Morales met his end much like his Scarface film counterpart, grandly, after getting shot during a bar fight, one which allegedly kicked off after someone assumed Morales' sexual preference in a way that was not very appreciated in 1983. We can excuse murder and drug dealing, but we draw the line at homophobia. So what do you think? And were you surprised how much the art of Scarface imitated real life? Let us know down in the comments. And while you're there, check out some of these other videos from our weird history.
Well, to me, this sounds more like assumptions that people made after the movie was made. Like, oh, this could be this person, and this could. I mean, yeah, they took inspiration, but it doesn't sound like it was really based on anyone in particular. Or I don't know, because I haven't seen the movie. I wouldn't know. You guys let me know if most likely you have watched the movie. Should we watch it together, or should we do a reaction channel for movies? I really want to do that. What my question is should this movie be on my reaction channel when I make a reaction channel for movies? Yes. I hope you enjoyed watching this with me. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.